Hello there. Thanks so much for joining me today. I'm Colleen Klimczak. I'm an organizational and productivity coach and a certified professional organizer. I own Peace of Mind Professional Organizing, LLC. Since 2003, I've been helping my clients live better lives through organizing and organizational and productivity coaching. I support my clients and my community with coaching, in-person and virtual organizing, my weekly podcast called Your Organized Life with Colleen Klimczak, a free weekly virtual productivity session called Finish Line Friday, a free weekly email newsletter, and regular content on Facebook and Instagram. I also offer presentations and professional development to groups and companies. Coming soon, I'll be launching my membership circle to support my community with even more coaching and productivity content. Want to finish strong this week? Join me for Finish Line Friday every Friday morning at 9 a.m. Central for a 2-hour productivity session. Drop me an email at colleen@peaceofmindpo.com to request my Zoom room link or follow the Zoom room link on my Instagram or Facebook pages. Welcome to Your Organized Life 136. I am working on a project this summer, and I have received questions from some of you about this topic as well, and so I thought I'd share. I recently completed a productivity coaching course, and 2 areas that we look at, there were 12, 2 areas that we look at for ourselves and for our clients in productivity are organizing objects and data and resources. I'm strong in both of those areas, and I also still need to complete projects in those areas to keep them strong and functioning. I've been working on a digital organizing project for a few months now. I've heard it called a digital declutter or a digital detox. You can call it whatever you want. Let me start with why. Why am I doing this? Let me share my why, right? So I have had many transitions in the last few months. Most notably, I took on and also completed for the semester a student success coaching role for a program at Moraine Valley Community College. I also started and completed a productivity coaching course towards my certified productivity coach certification. And I also ended my 8 years on the Board of Education with Evergreen Park Elementary School District 124. All of these roles came with their own tasks and projects and paper, of course. And so I have made room for those roles in my office and my calendar. And as they ended, it was time to gently close out those roles and the associated paper and textbooks and files, etc. Now, all 3 of these roles also have digital information attached to them as well. So wrapping up means reviewing and purging the digital stuff too. So the books and paper project are complete, and that was easy and straightforward, I think. I undertook this project to take care of the same in digital form, but it's also an opportunity to review and purge and reorganize my digital office work as well, and that's a lot bigger. Phew, right? So that is where I am. Once I decided to tackle this project and schedule the time for it, I recognized some other good reasons to do this. For example, every once in a while, I get notifications from my laptop that my available memory is down to X%, and that soon that may negatively impact performance. And doesn't that just say it all? So that's one motivator. Periodic scheduled review and decision-making on items, whether it's a file folder or a sweater or an email newsletter subscription, keeps my systems in good working order. Scheduling and completing maintenance reduces emergencies and outages. And scheduled maintenance can be done on my own terms, on my own schedule, and is drama-free. So big picture goals for this project and in life is I want to be less reliant and attached to my physical office and laptop. I want to be able to access my information anywhere. I also want to save money and make money, making the most of the storage options I have without buying more. As always, a guiding principle for any of my organizing projects is, can I find what I need when I need it? Tackling this project also helps others to help me, like my assistant and my spouse, so I can share personal or professional information more easily. And as I say these big picture goals out loud, I can realize, and I hope you do too, that these strategies are for my digital clutter, yes, but they really transcend to all our organizing projects. As we tackle any organizing project, closet or computer, we need to get an idea of what we have. In my presentations, I reference Julie Morgenstern's system in her book, Organizing from the Inside Out. It's a 5-step process. It spells space, it's an acronym. And the first step is sort. So, sorting my data. Let's look at that first. I am satisfied with how I store most of my data. So knowing my focus areas, which I have talked about in past articles and episodes, and I will share them again, my C drive on my laptop and also my professional and personal Google Drives all share similar organizational structures and subcategories. I decided long ago what to name my files and how to store them to be able to find them again. And I continue to use those rubrics for naming. That's called a naming convention, by the way. For example, I have my speaking subdirectory on my laptop. And in that subdirectory, there's a folder for contracts and invoices, and then a folder for each of my speaking topics. And those subfolders contain notes and handouts, etc. I have the same on my Google Business Drive as I move documents over there, and also the same in my Evernote account for ideas for new topics. And my client subdirectory is set up similarly in my C drive with a folder for contracts and invoices and then a folder for each client, right? So once we figure out what works, we want to stick with it. So that's one type of digital organizing, one type of digital sorting. And then I also can sort my email. So similar to my data, I have personal and business email accounts, and they too are organized along my focus areas. So speaking or clients or coaching. My personal email has things like, purchases I make for my home, family stuff, and ministry stuff, right? So similarly, one of my first steps in this project was to move personal business to my personal email accounts and any company-specific emails to my company emails. So I'm pretty good about those things, but the lines had definitely blurred over time. And those first steps are complete. So once I know what I have, once you know what you have, it's time for what Julie Morgenstern calls purge. So again, looking at both data and email, purging my data. I start with remembering those focus areas and what's important to me to help me make decisions on what I want to purge. I have to say that having my drives organized makes it super easy to purge old documents. For example, an impetus for this project was finishing my time on the Board of Education. I began this project earlier in 2025 as I slowly cleaned off my D124 Google Drive. I deleted old and obsolete files, and wow, there were so many from 8 years of board work. And I methodically moved anything that was still useful over to a new presidential Google Drive to leave for the new president. After a quick review, deleting entire subdirectories for past projects felt great. Sorting chronologically in reverse makes it easy to delete past versions of updated documents, leaving only the most recent and therefore most useful versions. I have recently undertaken similar steps to review and clean up my laptop subdirectories, and seeing those now make my heart happy. And my brain can breathe a sigh of relief, figuratively speaking, of course. I can also purge unneeded emails, and I've definitely been working on that. To reduce the new information coming in, I have been subscribing from dozens of subscriptions in both, really all 3 of my email addresses. What I like about Gmail is the promotions tab. To drag solicitation and retailer emails over there, I can keep receiving the email messages, but I don't have to be bothered by them unless I'm actively looking to shop for something specific. In addition, I've deleted thousands of old email messages and entire now obsolete subfolders in my email accounts. Again, so satisfying. So we sorted, we purge. The 3rd and 4th step for Julie Morgenstern are assigning a home and containerizing for our stuff. And they certainly go together when it comes to digital storage. So really, I'm just asking questions, right? I know what the answers are for myself, but as we assign a home and containerize, we can ask, what are the homes and containers for our digital information? That's a question for me, and it's a question for you as well. For me, the answers are my laptop, my Evernote account, my email accounts, my personal Google account and Drive, my business Google Suite and Drive, and my Apple storage. Now that sounds like a lot, but actually it's not that much. Those are my different homes and therefore containers for my digital information. And then we also need to ask the question, once we know our homes and containers for the digital information, what is stored there? So I am very clear on what's stored where. And I'm also consistent about putting the information there. And I'm frugal. You could call it cheap. And so I'm going to make sure that I am not paying to store anything that doesn't need to be stored, right? So I don't want to pay for anything that I don't need. And doesn't that also sound like what we tackle when we tackle actual physical decluttering projects? Wanting to be frugal and not pay for storage. Yes, please. So the fifth step for Julie Morgenstern is what she calls equalize, which is a fancy word for maintenance. And as I have talked through this project today and asked you some questions, if you're considering a similar project yourself, I have also mentioned many maintenance tasks and routines that we can add to our routines to maintain our digital systems. So how many times did I say regularly scheduled, right? How many times did I say that? And honestly, that is the secret to maintenance. We need to regularly schedule our maintenance tasks. We also need to have a list and keep it updated of our various accounts, email and otherwise. And later this summer, I will be walking us through looking at accounts and passwords, but not yet. Regularly scheduled, right? So regularly check your email spam folders. I can't tell you how many times I hear, oh, your email went to my spam folder and I didn't know you had responded. So twice a week, I check my email spam folders. And that is for my business account, my Google personal account, my Gmail, and then I also have an account with Moraine Valley. So I check those email spam folders a couple times a week to make sure that nothing important has been directed there incorrectly. And I also delete old promotions emails from my Gmail account. I could likely change a setting for that, for it to happen automatically, but I like to review those for myself. Mid-month every month, I have a note on my task list to delete old recordings that have been published as blog articles and podcast episodes. I also have a habit of when we travel, if I'm not driving, I spend time deleting old, bad, or duplicate photos from my phone. Another idea for maintenance is to check in regularly on your bank or credit card statements to make sure that you aren't still paying for subscriptions or memberships that you no longer want. Whether it's an email account or a service that you don't need, all of those count towards the bottom line. So we want to make sure we're not paying for anything we don't need. And then we can also make an appointment with ourselves. Maybe this is an every year in January kind of thing. Or maybe it's a summer project because you have more time. Honestly, it's your choice. I'm not going to tell you what to do or when to do it. I might just give you the suggestion of what to do. So again, the when is your personal choice, but just make this a regularly scheduled maintenance occurrence. The best news is that when you've already done the organizing steps that we've talked through today, like setting up your focus areas and your drives and storage, maintenance gets easier and easier. So thanks for diving into this project with me, and I hope you found this helpful. Support around getting things done is what productivity coaching is all about. If it's time to invest in yourself and explore coaching for organizing and productivity, I would love to hear from you. Drop me a line via email at colleen@peaceofmindpo.com or message me through my social media platforms like Facebook, Instagram, or LinkedIn. Thanks so much, and I will talk to you next week.